So what is right intention and why did I chose that topic? So I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Four Noble Truths. Raise hands if you are familiar. Okay, wow. And with Noble Eightfold Path. Okay, so in order for us to not suffer, which is about the Four Noble Truths are all about suffering, right? Like there is suffering, but there is a way out of suffering, and what is the way out? There is a cause for suffering, and then if there's a cause, there is the suspension of the cause, and then in consequence, there is a way out of suffering. So I'm sure we all have experienced suffering, and we all have experienced stopping suffering for a while. And the Eightfold Path is like the steps, which are not sequential, but those are the way in which we get out of suffering. And intention is the second of the Eightfold Path. And sometimes for me, as for you, it has been wisdom, the most important topic in my life for a period of time. Sometimes it had been patience, depending on what are my conditions. Sometimes it had been I want to study more. Sometimes it had been concentration. I want to get enlightened. I'm going to do this for nonstop. And so for, I don't know what conditions, for me lately, right intention had taken a big chunk of my interest. So that's what I'm going to share with you. And right intention has to do a lot with values, because what we intend to is connected deeply with our own values. And there are all sorts of values. And at the end of the talk, we're going to do a little exercise on questioning ourselves, our values. Because values, if we don't set up them, if we all have values, but we don't all know we have them, we haven't had the time or the dedication to look at them and to reflect on them. And we might be acting with good intention, but we don't know how clear we are inside with our values. So a big part of this is going to be later on, maybe not today. It's like a work of time, as everything here takes time to question ourselves. What are our most deep values? Starting for, I want to take care of my body, so I want to keep my feet warm, right? Or I want to get enlightened, so I'm going to do whatever is needed to do that. I want to share the Dharma, so even though I don't like speaking in public and giving an English talk, then I'm going to do it because I trust my teachers. Or so it's an exercise that it's never ending. So we wake up questioning ourselves, what is my intention? And we go to bed also questioning ourselves. So this is something that can be strengthened and can be cultivated as every other of the teachings that we give here. They are all cultivable. I don't know if that's a word. So right view or right intention. I mentioned there, it's part of the wisdom part. The Eightfold Path has many, things that we need to learn and do. So right intention has to do with right view, which is the first. So I'm going to read you. So I'm not inventing anything. So here the Buddha said, at Savatthi, Bhikkhus, I will teach you the Noble Eightfold Path, and I will analyze it for you. Listen to that and attend closely. I will speak. Yes, Venerable Sir, those bhikkhus replied. The Blessed One said this. And what, bhikkhus, is the Noble Eightfold Path? Right view, right concentration. And what, bhikkhus, is right view? Knowledge of suffering, knowledge of the origin of suffering, knowledge of the cessation of suffering, knowledge of the way leading to the cessation of suffering. This is called right view. And what, bhikkhus, is right intention? Intention of renunciation, intention of non-will, intention of harmlessness. This is called right intention. We'll go to those three types of intention a little later, but just to make sure, this is in the scriptures from 2,500 years ago. So I hope it was clear that the right view is the view of understanding reality, how it is. So things don't make me happy, things can make me suffer, I can get rid of suffering, I can be more happy. How do I do that? This is said very simple, but we all know how to go deeper in each one of these in detail. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. It is founded on our thoughts. It is made up of our thoughts. If a man speaks or acts an evil thought, pain follows him, as the wheel follows the foot of the ox that draws the carriage. If a man speaks or acts with a pure thought, happiness follows him, like a shadow that never leaves him. So for me, intention is like the first spark of energy that activates everything. Without thought, there is no intention. Although it might be hard to detect it, sometimes we just react and we didn't know where did it come from. I didn't think about it. We have thoughts. And there is a way of clarifying our thoughts and making sure that what I think is that I want to think. It's not what my church told me, or my parents told me, or the media out there told me, or what I read in books, or what at school they taught me. That's really, really what I really believe to be true. So sometimes we get to my old age and we haven't even questioned ourselves. What are my values? What I've been living through without even questioning if this was really aligned with my heart. What does my body tells me when I question it? So thoughts are the very, not the very first thing, because there's another cycle that will come later, but thoughts are the basis of setting the intentions. So and then why do we teach so much mindfulness here? Because if we learn to be with our body, with our breath, with the sound, with what I'm feeling now, then we're developing this ability to then be more mindful about my thoughts and mindful about my intentions every moment. One tries to abandon wrong resolve and to enter into right resolve. This is one's right effort. One is mindful to abandon one resolve and to enter and remain in right resolve. This is one's right mindfulness. Thus, three qualities: right view, right effort, right mindfulness. Run and cycle around right resolve. So you'll see that each one of the other 8 paths of the Noble Eightfold Path come in help each other. sometimes mindfulness, sometimes wisdom, sometimes a little effort, sometimes a little relaxation. So they are all helping each other work. It's not that I have right view, then I forget about the view. Now I'm going to go to only intention. I set up my intentions. I'm done with that. Now I'm going to work on right speech. No, like we are working all the time with the 8 of them. They all support each other. They all feed each other. So the teachings said that there are 3 kinds of intention, as you heard here. The intention of renunciation, and each one of the intentions, the right intentions, counteracts the wrong intentions. So the renunciation counters the intention of desire. The intention of goodwill, of course, the ill will, and the intention of harmlessness that counters the intention of harmfulness. So what is renunciation? So when I first heard this, I thought, oh, this sucks, because I came from a Catholic background. I was really, really very, devoted Catholic. I would even, do own sacrifices. I'm not gonna eat this, and I'm gonna do that, and because I was gaining tiny little, parcels in this, in heaven, to go quickly to go sit with God. And I really, I practiced really well and diligently. So when I heard renunciation, I thought, I came to a tradition that was not as punitive as the one I came from. I still respect a lot my tradition, where I grew from, and I think it taught me many things and helped me develop many, many, many things. But in this case, renunciation refers to, anyone wants to guess? Let it go of? You said it first, that the first word you said, that was the letting go of suffering. It's not that I let go of ice cream and sex, and no, it's I let go of suffering. So I let go. How do I let go of suffering? Well, I understand what causes suffering. What causes suffering to me? What causes suffering to others? What causes suffering to both of us? And that requires a little bit of mindfulness, of time, of relaxation, of sitting and analyzing, what did I just did? How did I did it? Did it impact it in a good way, in a bad way? So we learn from our own experiences. We don't need to read a lot or go get a bunch of advices. We analyze our own experiences. So I take care of my body. How does it feel? Well, it's a little, I don't like dieting or stuff, but after a while I feel so healthy. I feel energetic. I get less sick. So we need to use a lot of our thinking mind to analyze this. Or if you don't want to use your thinking, only your intuition will tell you. Just listen to your intuition, and it will tell you what actions, what words, what thoughts, and what omissions are going to cause suffering, and what are going to cause happiness, or what are going to be neutral, so you don't need to worry. So renunciation is mainly, we don't want to keep suffering anymore. There's suffering. It sucks. I experienced it every time, every day, every single moment. There's an quiz. So what can I do to reduce that for myself, for others? And it also has to do a lot with we renounce suffering for ourselves. That's too easy, because nobody wants to suffer. The not so easy part is I renounce to the suffering of others. It's like, no, that's not my business. You take care of yourself, I take care of myself. So that's another layer of growing in the path of understanding reality. So again, here comes the thought, the right view. So am I separate from you? Am I a different entity? I'm completely disengaged from the rest of the world? Or do we understand that I, as a human being, I want to be at ease, I want to be fed, I want to be warm, I want to be loved, I want to belong, I want to understand, I want to have hope, I want to be safe. I'm a human, and who's that person over there? I really don't know them. They're not my children. They're not my neighbors. They don't belong to my church. They don't give me anything. So I really don't care about them. But oh, they are humans. Oh, they must be feeling the same as I, because what I feel is not exclusively. I didn't design my own needs. They belong to the human nature. So whenever I meet another human, or I don't meet them, I know they exist far away in another continent. Oh, they might also want to be free from suffering. Oh, they might also want to be loved. They don't like pain, physical pain. They would like to be safe. They probably would like to have drinking water and clothes and not being involved in wars that don't belong to them. So here's where right view, we can expand right view as much as we can, as much as our personal development allows us. So we always start with ourselves, because whatever we do to ourselves, we do to others. We cannot afford being extra super kind with the rest of the world if we're being mean with ourselves. So right view can go, as expansive as you want. And in these kinds of teachings, right view includes considering all sentient beings equal. So as far as I want to stop and renounce the suffering for myself, I would like and wish to do whatever is possible to stop the suffering from others. Or maybe we'll at the end we'll get to the basic, which is maybe there's nothing I can do, but at least I don't want to harm. So that's where we start. I'm gonna try not to harm myself. I'm gonna try not to harm the ones I love. I'm gonna try not to harm the rest. And then there's a lot of work on how can we implement that. But the intention has to be set and has to come from that clear understanding of reality, either from suffering and from the self and others. So the Buddha understood what intention was and placed right intention as I said, as the second step towards enlightenment. So he advocated towards the middle way. And the middle way is, as you might have heard, is not to be too tough with ourselves and not to be too permissive. I don't know the word in English, but so which is what we just practiced this morning in the meditation. We were always trying to be at the middle way. How did we practice it this morning? So we're trying to be relaxed to be able to meditate, and at the same time we're trying to be awake. And if we're too energized, we kind of lose the relaxation and we're too tight. So I was just back in Mexico dealing with a business issue. I completely lost my relaxation. I was like this for hours because I had to deal with very important decisions and tough times. And I thought, wow, like it's so easy to lose your relaxation, right? Because the conditions didn't allow me. I was aware, at least I was aware I was not relaxed. But so the ideal way in which we do our practice meditation and our daily life is the middle way between relaxation and vividness. And the middle way also with intentions. It's not that from now on I'm going to set myself up to, I'm going to end up poverty in the world. Well, is that really feasible? Are you gonna forget the ones that really depend on you? So everything is about balance. That's what the middle way is about. So we renounce to, as you were saying, to the attachment we have to things, to the way we see things. So yeah, I really like ice cream. So I'm not gonna renounce to ice cream, but I'm gonna renounce to the idea that ice cream is gonna make me happy. So whenever I have a chance to have ice cream, oh, welcome. It's flavor that I like it. It's smooth, whatever. But what I need to work on in my intellect is I want to make sure I know that ice cream is not going to make me happy longer than 2 minutes. Like, it's going to make me happy, but only for 2 minutes. It's not going to bring me ease and happiness. It's not going to make me forget my other problems, only for 2 minutes. So yeah. So next time I'm, craving for something, or I get into a fight with somebody, I'm depressed or tired, or I'm not going to run to get ice cream because I know that's going to cure me. I know it's going to only give me 2 minutes, but I still need to work to solve the bottom of my problems. And that, this is a silly example, but that's with everything else. Just, I'm going to renounce to get attached to the things that really don't make me happy or anyone else happy, that will bring me more suffering. So it's more about the view of the transient and limited character of all things and phenomena. And I'm talking about ice cream, but also, I'm just going to read this and I'll tell you the example. This is how to contemplate our conditioned existence in this fleeting world, like a tiny drop of dew or a bubble floating in a stream. So this is going to explaining us how things, from ice cream to my, loved ones, to the country, to whatever, nothing is solid, right? Everything is conditioned, like a tiny drop of dew or a bubble floating in a stream, like a flash of lighting in a summer cloud, or a flickering lamp, an illusion, a phantom, or a dream. So is all conditioned existence to be seen, all conditions, all your loved ones, all your possessions, all your titles, all your identities, everything is fleeting. So if we renounce to the idea that those are solid and permanent and are going to stay with us forever and are going to make us happy, we are going to be happy if we renounce to that idea. So it's mainly a change in perspectives, right? So I hope you are not going home and getting rid of everything and, telling your partner, I'm leaving you because I know you're not going to make me happy forever. You're gonna get sick and die, or I'm gonna get sick and die. I'm gonna make you suffer. Like, let's just keep living this life, just being aware that what's reality and enjoying every moment, because we know every moment is enjoyable. It's gonna flee, so just enjoy it. And when it's a painful moment, also know that it's gonna pass. It's gonna flee. So we have hope. Now, the second kind of intention is the goodwill. Another word for goodwill that you might have heard here is metta, is the Pali for loving kindness. And it's a hard translation, but loving kindness is like I love you, but I don't love you in the sense that I love the color of your shirt. I really deeply love you, and I want to be kind with you. And I know that you want to be loved because I am a human and I want to be loved. So that's why I love you. And I love you not because you serve me or because if you're safe, I feel okay. And no, I love you uninterestedly, which is really hard, but we can try it. And here it comes also the distinction between the I and me, right? So I have goodwill, I love, but I mainly love, my daughters, my people, my family, my neighborhood, my, whatever is mine. But as I was telling, those over there, I really don't know them. Like, why should I love them, right? So it's a big task if we want to be on the path to try to bring all these thoughts to our mind. And maybe if you feel you're in the right place and moment to open your heart to this understanding and try to love everybody, it's very rewarding. So your love is not gonna shrink, it's gonna expand. Thank you. So the intention of goodwill is the intention of I don't want to wish anyone ill will, although we might find ourselves sometimes. But as far as we are conscious about that and we realize it's good, it's not bad. Now, the third kind of intention is the harmlessness, not harming or doing violence to anything, starting with ourselves. And that starts with our own health and no harming anyone, like even cockroaches. When I, back then when I lived in Mexico, there were cockroaches. I tried to, kill them. They would run away. They wouldn't say, oh yeah, I'm a cockroach, I don't care about. No, like nobody wants to suffer. So to be very, very careful about not harming anyone and setting that intention. I think, these three types of intention are easy to accept, easy to understand, easy to incorporate. Now, how do we work with them? It's very easy because, we have the Noble Eightfold Path, and each one of the paths will help support each other. Now, I'm going to go a little bit more into thoughts, because for me, the thoughts are very important as well as the heart. Sometimes I lead the Friday night sitting group. You might know that there's 3 sitting groups throughout the week. So sometimes on Friday they put names on every day, like the wise practices or practices of, do you know the names? Like practices of the heart or practices of, I don't know. And the Friday ones are practices of the heart. So sometimes I lead the meditation, and on Friday somebody told me, I wonder why this is called practice of the heart and you didn't talk about anything related with the heart. And I said, yeah, because I think that you cannot separate the mind with the heart. Actually, in Tibetan, in Pali, in Sanskrit, in all the Buddhist traditions, there's no separation of heart and mind. It's only one entity. And you might have felt that yourselves, that your heart tells something that is so smart that really overrides your intellect, or even your gut, which is imbued with neurons, is like your heart intellect. So although we're trying to cultivate heart qualities, the thinking mind plays a big role. So we tend to think that thoughts don't count, and that only count what we actually do, but what we actually do comes from what we thought before, even if we didn't know, if we didn't notice. And this, the Buddha discovered this twofold vision of thought in the period prior to his enlightenment. While he was striving for deliverance, meditating in the forest, he found that his thoughts could be distributed in two different classes. So the classes of ill will, the classes of goodwill. So the classes of ill will would provoke harmful. So it's like a chain of it. So they start just with a tiny little thought, and then we think, how are we going to do that? And then we are finally doing it without realizing what the impact was. So before his enlightenment, he found that so he said renunciation, goodwill, and harmlessness. Whenever he noticed thoughts of the first kind arise in him, he understood that those thoughts lead to harm for oneself and others, obstruct wisdom, and lead away from nirvana. And the opposed thoughts will lead to the opposed results. So that's why the understanding of the suffering in the Four Noble Truths is such a big part of the right view and right intention. Now, I just want to read you something about. I mentioned earlier what we think, what we believe. It's influenced since we were born, and what we read and hear and listen, and that. So, how friendship is so important. And I want to read you from this book is Meditations with Teresa de Avila. You would wonder why I like this, because my name is Teresa also. She's a Catholic. No, was. So she talks about the impact with whom you associate with, how that impact, and with whom you associate with, I mean, not only your friends, what you read, what you watch, what internet channel you choose to be aligned with. So it's called blurry vision. For now, I realize what a danger it is at an age when one should begin to cultivate the virtues to associate with people who do not know the vanity of the world, but rather are just getting ready to throw themselves into it. So I'm going to read real quick what was her life before she moved. Teresa moved from her saintly childhood desires to an adolescent romanticism that was inspired by the literature of the time. She was dressed in the finest of clothes and jewelry. She was focused on societal and personal honor. Owing to dubious relations with many people, however, her father arranged for Teresa to be sent to an Augustinian convent. Thank God my dad didn't do that with me. I took myself voluntarily, and then I took myself out. So in her autobiography, Teresa mentions repeatedly the importance of good companionship. Easy is to be misled by others. Our original godly vision becomes blurry, and desires become distorted, with the soul beginning its journey into a state of confusion and lack of fulfillment. This is the time when we become awakened to the reality of our true nature, waiting to be reborn. Good companionship can be both supportive and instructive. So we are in good companionship now. Thank you for your support. I just grabbed my attention because, it has a lot of common concepts that we deal with in the Buddhist teachings. So as many of our teachers, they all talk about this, and they said, intention is not about setting goals for long term, as we set goals, like specific objective goals in time. Is more like setting the guiding star, like setting the tone of where we want to go in life. So probably almost all of you are local. So if you are going to drive on the PCH and you want to go south, you want to have the sun on your right side. So you might turn a little bit towards here, you might stop for a coffee, you might even spend a night somewhere else, you might go a little west for a moment, but you always know, I want to go south. So if you don't have a GPS, if you don't have a phone, if you don't have, the sun, and if you are a little bit oriented, because I know people might even get lost with, so the sun should be always on your right side if you want to go to the south. If you want to go to the north, the sun should always be to your left hand, unless it's way too early and it's winter and then the sun is somewhere else, but it's usually the sun will be on your left hand side if you want to go to the north. So that's the intention. And a goal would be, I'm going to get there at 5 and, stop and, make a phone call and grab this or that. Those are goals. Intentions are more like our guiding. They're guiding all our actions, all our thoughts, all throughout our lives. You set your intentions based on understanding what matters most to you and make a commitment to align your worldly actions with your inner values. So intentions are more about being, and goals are more about doing. So, and with the intention, it might look like very light, but we build our futures with just our intentions. That's why I want to insist so much about being very clear about how do we think, what are our values, how do we set our intentions, because then we might end up doing things that we never thought we wanted to do or we didn't think we wanted to do. And so the future is created by our present views and present intentions, as our present was built based on our previous thoughts and views and intentions. An early Buddhist teaching says what we are today comes from our thoughts of yesterday, and our present thoughts build our life of tomorrow. Our life is the creation of our mind. So if we and we can, I'm an artist, so we can create that. It's not something that is said or it comes or we have to. We create that. We custom create that at our own will. But in order to do that, I'm forgiving me for being so repeatedly on the same thing. We need to make sure it's our values that are in there and not someone else's or some other entities else's. And we create it, and it's as everything else is not perfect, and we start little by little. You might be already in the middle of the way, or you might be already a PhD on intentions, but we strengthen them as we go over and over. And we're gonna fail a little bit, and we're gonna find ourselves, oh, I did this, it was not my intention, how did it come? I've done that before myself. I've found myself the other day telling my daughter, my sister, a horrible thing. After I it just came out of my mouth, and I said, like, where did that come from? Like, I would have never really wanted or intended to say that, and it came out. So we're gonna fail, And as far as you realize it, the better, the sooner the better. Before you open your mouth is better. But once you said it, if it was after you opened your mouth and you realized it, then you have a chance to ask for forgiveness or reparation or whatever, and then reflect, why am I doing this? I thought I wanted her well-being. Oh, maybe there's a little bit of jealousy there, or there's a little bit of envy, or there's that I haven't realized it was there. So that's why mindfulness also comes into place. That let's see what is going on. What was my intention in that moment? So we strengthen it, and then we can assure our future is going to be more aligned and better. But so we go back and forth, strengthening, and the responses are going to be more aligned each time. So I don't know why I have this here, but I'm going to write it to you. It says, when people are angry, the only way you can calm them is, somebody told me, asking them for forgiveness. No matter if they are angry with you or with, no matter, there's no way. So I mentioned this because anger triggers us a lot. It's a big trigger, and it might take us away from our intentions. So whenever if you set up your intention, whenever I meet an angry person, I'm gonna try not to get angry with them, because anger will never ends up with anger itself. With non-anger also it will end. And I also want to mention here a very important aspect of intention, that is the impact. So we usually think, oh, the intention is so important, is what it counts. But we have to be very aware again and pay mindful attention on what are the impacts of my intentions. And this is, well, for me, this has been very vivid in the realm of discrimination and racism, because we need to learn a lot about it. And there's a lot of impact, just not by ill will, maybe just by ignorance. So it doesn't mean that whenever you hurt somebody, it's because you had a deep inside willing to hurt or an ill will. No, it's probably just pure and mere ignorance. So to reflect, when I do something, will it cause happiness? Did it cause suffering? Was it based on greed? I want to get this. I want more of this. I think I'm going to be happy if I have this. Was it made from aversion? I don't like this. I don't want this person. I don't want this situation. I don't want this. Was it made out of ignorance? I thought I was doing this well, but it ended up with an outcome or an impact that was not what I thought I intended. It's not very easy. It's a little blurry and complicated because there are many layers that have to do with actions that we do. So do not get discouraged when you find yourself having an outcome or an impact that was negative and it was not your intention. But take that as a chance and opportunity to reflect what happened, so next time I will be more careful about it. So I want to share with you an example of intentions that a recently married couple vowed to each other when they were getting married. Because I love you, I promise never to harm you. Because I love you, I promise to never take anything you don't want to give me. Because I love you, I'll speak only truthfully and kindly to you. Because I love you, I'll treat your body with love. Because I love you, I will keep my mind free from confusion so that I can act only out of wisdom. And I don't know if this happens still, but they say they were gonna repeat this every morning to each other again. So, I mean, this is just an example. I would do that to myself every morning, right? Start with. So, we're running a little late. I want to tap again in how, so the intentions can be as little as we want, as large as we want, as Padmasambhava, who was a Tibetan master, said, "My view is as big as the sky, but my actions are as fine as the dust." And wisdom not to harm. The Buddha said once, "Here, monk, a wise person of great wisdom does not intend for his own affliction or the affliction of others, or for the affliction of both. Rather, when he plans for his own welfare, the welfare of others, the welfare of both, and the welfare of the whole world. It is in this way that one is a wise person of great wisdom." And going back a little bit to insisting on the cause and effect of our views, our thoughts, our intentions, our actions, harms. So things in the physical world where we live, nothing happens without a cause, right? So also in the emotional world. So there's sensations, there is objects, there are senses. So there's an object, there's a sense. A sense perceives the object. If there's no object, none of my senses can perceive anything. I have the sense of listening. If there's no sound, then I will never know I was able to listen, because there was no object to listen to. So there's the object, the sound, there's a sense, I sense. And then there's the feeling, oh, I'm listening. Okay. And after the feeling, there's a tiny little thought of, I like it, I don't like it, or I don't care. Everything that we relate with goes through this process. And then after I like it, I don't like it, I care, then there's an immediate intention or thought or response that's, I want more of that. It's so pleasant. Or I wish I could have that every morning at my window, or whatever. Or I don't like that. How can I get rid of that? I'm going to push it away. Why is it here? I don't deserve it. And that sets up our intention. And without knowing and without noticing, we end up, going towards what we desire and fighting against what we didn't like, without even knowing that it was a whole process that went inside of us. So mindfulness is very helpful because it allows us to realize why our intentions are what we are. And I want to talk a little bit also about mixed results of intentions. We might have set good intentions, but we might have had previous thoughts, and that affect our present actions, and they get a little mixed with the intention. So don't be disappointed. Don't think you failed the intention test. We all get all those kind of mixed results. Whenever we do something, just question yourself. Did it come from kindness? Did it come from compassion? Did it come from the true wanting to no harm? And also, did anyone get harmed after my action? So I think I'm going to have to skip this, which is not that. And I want to, I don't know, I had nice quotes, but Nelson Mandela put it this way: thinking too well of people often allows them to behave better than they otherwise would. So I don't know what this has to do with intention, but it it just if I personally, I usually try not to think bad of other people. So sometimes my loved ones don't like that about me because I'm always advocating for everyone. Like don't don't think they did it on a they didn't probably know, or they were sick, or they forgot, or why. Oh, mom, you always are trying to excuse people. Yeah, so if it's been helpful for me not to feel bad about people. Just anytime someone hurts me or omits something that I might feel angry, I think they didn't know, or they were more worried about their own suffering or whatever. So I think that that's what Nelson Mandela was referring to: thinking too well of people, and that allows them to bring their best. So now, if